Hey everybody, Gustavo Furman here. I'm really excited because season 3 of my podcast Into the Flow is here now. Episode 1 today of season 3. And my good friend Michael Kitlas, host of The Perspective Chef, great podcast that I love, is back for the second time. Woo! We had a great conversation. You got to listen to it. You got to listen to this one. All right? So here we go. Enjoy. Season 3, Episode 1, Into the Flow. Let's go. Into the flow. All right, everybody. How are you? We're into the flow here. Woo! Gustavo Furman, and I'm with Michael Kitlas. I call him Mike,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Michael is back with us. I hope you remember him from before, because of course we had a great conversation with Mike last time. He's one of the hosts from the podcast, The Perspective Chef, and also a very successful real estate agent in Arizona. And he's also a teacher, a master, a student, like all of us, right? And he brings great messages to everybody that has a pleasure to listen to him and learn from him. And welcome back to Into the Flow, Mike.
Gustavo, it is my pleasure. I am so excited to be here with you. I can't thank you enough. I love coming on to Into the Flow. This is so great. I appreciate it. Like you said, thank you for that beautiful intro. This is my second visit onto Into the Flow, so I'm excited to be back. Um, 2026 is off to a great start. We're rounding out the year of the snake. We're now coming into the year of the horse, and I love it. There is those
Wow.
momentum in the air that I just it feels different. There is a great energy right now about this year. And so I'm very
Ooh.
excited. A lot of cool things are happening, to us as a society.
Mm.
We are entering, we are here, we are at the age of Aquarius, and there is a reason we chose to incarnate during this time. We're here to
Ooh.
bring people to the light.
Wow. What a nice, like, just coming on strong like there, Mike. I love it. So explain to people what's this thing about the snake and the horse, and what's the year of the horse? What does that represent?
Great question. So at the my fiance, for example, she loves the astrology stuff. If each of us, we're born at a certain time period, right? And it kind of gives us this signature, almost as if, these different things that we're going to come experience, take part in, all the above. We sign these soul contracts before we come incarnate here on Earth. And so each of us has our own little soul signature, soul contracts, all of the above. But there's different themes, throughout history and throughout timeline. And we are wrapping up the year of the snake. Shedding last year, 2025. It was an intense year. There was times where it felt very stagnant, very slow moving. I felt this in business. I felt this in relationships. I felt this all over the place.
Mm.
2025 was a really trying year. And that is because we're rounding out of that year. We're now it was a 9 year of finishing, it's over. And now we're stepping into our power, if you will. The year of the horse is about momentum. It's about opportunity. These years of different hard work that we've been putting in, when it comes to us in our day-to-day lives, our work environment, our spiritual selves, our beings, our higher self, all of the above. We are walking into a new time, and that's why a lot of us can feel it.
Wow. And so the horse represents that kind of momentum, the moving, the power, right?
Yep,
And and
absolutely.
and all of us taking that power back. And you mentioned Aquarius, right? So can you explain to everybody? Yeah, can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming out of the age of Pisces, this Piscean age of what's the best way to say this? Like ego, self, identity, and we're now coming into this age of Aquarius, which is about community. It's less about competition, and we can see it in everything that's kind of going on. This old archetype is falling away. That's why we're seeing this in what's going on, in politics with all this information coming out that all these conspiracy theories that we were told for years are all true and they're all coming to light. And it's so funny to watch because it's like, yes, we have been, we have technologies that haven't been released. There's, cures for a lot of things that we have shelved, over the years. We're walking into a whole different time, and it's
Mm.
really exciting. And I am now for the first time in my life realizing, wow, this is why I chose this lifetime. This is why I chose to come and experience this.
Oh, wow, it's so profound. When you say you chose to be in this time reality, and like, and that's something that when you were talking about all the stuff going on now, where politics and all these things going on in the world that are going on right now, it seems like it's kind of like spilling over. Like where things are showing more, and after that there's gonna be, like they say, the storm comes, and then after that there's the calm, right? The
Yep.
peace, and the sunshine comes out.
Yep.
So,
We're seeing that whole world break away. All
yeah,
the stuff with
yeah,
the Epstein files, everything that's going on, like it's kind of mind blowing because forever we have been, do as you're told, don't ask questions, things like that. And we're getting out of all that old crap. Now we're realizing, hey, what's going on? We're watching our monetary system even change. Though when it comes to the dollar and how things are working and this, new blockchain technology and things like that we're hearing about. We're seeing different stuff go on within the banking sector, gold, silver, stock market fluctuations, all of this. We are at a new point in time. I like listening to that Elon Musk guy talk about things too sometimes. And he mentioned something great, about he was saying, hey, for everybody saving money, like in 5 years, like retirement won't be a thing, in the next 5 to 10 years, we are going to see such a change in the way we understand how to live. See, we were all taught survival and lack and competition our entire lives.
yes,
Our children's children will not live in that same archetype, so in that same created reality. See, that's the cool part is we're like breaking away from 2,000 years of survival, and now we're going into the time of community, knowing, trust, love,
wow.
abundance. We are stepping into abundance.
And it's like the time, I think, for us, a lot of us, especially in the spiritual world, to like really remember who we really are. And that's, I know that we are all here for that reason, to remember who we are. And for people that maybe don't follow this type of teachings in life, they might be kind of confused on saying remembering who we are. But how can you explain that to people, where it's like remembering who you are? Now is the time to step up. You really to show yourself even more, to understand who you really are and take charge, take that power back. How do you explain that to somebody that do not follow this type of
Yeah.
lifestyle, let's say?
No, that's a great question because, like, at the end of the day, all truths are true. And when people, well, what does that mean? Right? Well, if you believe the world is a certain way, you will experience the world in that way. See, we're all taught that there's like this outside reality that's like fixed and absolute, that like everyone is experiencing it this way. And it's the same for every single person. Absolutely incorrect. Scientifically, absolutely incorrect. And it has been proven over and over and over again. And so, what I always tell people is, like how I look at life and this experience is we choose our parents, we choose the experiences we want to come have. This is a reality that we come down here to remember what and who we are. And that is a creator. You are source. You are light. You are um, you are a ray. If the light was the sun, you are a ray of that sun, experiencing yourself in this identity. Okay, but you as your higher self are connected to source. In fact, you are source, and you're coming down playing this role to learn more about yourself. You've got your five senses: taste, touch, smell, hear, all that, right? Well, you can develop that sixth sense, that higher above. I always do above like it's behind me because I always put my awareness like behind and above when I'm trying to, not get, too involved or stuck in this physical.
That's so.
I try to look at it from above, from a macro view, it is the best way I can probably say it is what you seek out, you will find. And so when you are going out into the world, it's very important that you understand this because it will shape how you experience your life.
Wow, that's so so profound. And that takes me to what I wanted to talk about talk about next, which is I've been reading. I actually read this twice already. The book of Frank Daly, which is your co-host on the Perspective Chef,
Uh-huh.
um, and he wrote this awesome book. Enjoy the ride. It might be a little backwards here, but it's the right here.
I've
And
read that five
yeah,
times.
I
Yep.
know it's such a good book. It's you can read it so fast because it's so good. And you were talking about higher self, you know, and that brings me to this thing. I want to read it, and then I want you to tell me to explain the audience like more about it. It
Please.
says thoughts create a vibration based on the belief attached to them. This vibration will generate a corresponding feeling, which will indicate whether the belief is a product of your higher mind or your thinking mind.
Yep.
So, what is the higher mind? So, Frank says here, it explains what the higher mind is. It is pure positive energy. It goes by many names, of course, God, spirit, source, universal energy, right? And so forth. So we have a thinking mind and then we have our higher mind. So what's higher mind will be source, like as you're talking about the extension, we're extension of that source energy. And the thinking mind would be our physical mind, our physical,
Our
our
ego identity.
yes,
Our
right?
ego.
Our
I'm
ego.
Mike Kitlas, this human, this male, born this year in this state, does this for work, that identity that we form, that is where the thinking mind comes from. Every day we've got, what is it, 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we're thinking. And 95% of those thoughts are the same thoughts that we carry over day after day after day. That is our ego identity. That is the thinking mind. That is where we create this character that we call Mike or Gustavo. That is the ego mind. That is the thinking mind. The higher mind is when we step back and it's seeing things. It's seeing life through the lens of I am a creator. And I experienced creation through this ego identity that was named Mike and born this date in this city in this state and does this for work. Okay? So that's probably the easiest way to explain that is the higher mind is your most natural self. It's you totally relaxed. It's the nervous system totally calm. It's that loving state. It's Christmas morning. It's, it's
Yeah, I like
the
that.
honeymoon period. It's all of these, it's that hug from mom or that hug from dad where everything's going to be okay.
Wow.
That's the higher self. It is that total, it is your most natural state.
It's
Um,
the natural state. Ooh.
you just cover that up.
Ooh.
A lot of thinking mind habits of I'm not
Wow.
good enough. If I only came from this family, if I only made this amount of money, those are all thoughts that keep us trapped in this ego identity.
And before we keep going, I want to congratulate you on you got engaged, right?
I did in September.
Because
Best feeling
you
ever.
you just mentioned the honeymoon stay. I'm like, wait a minute, you're
Right.
in the kind of like in this kind of cool state of like, woo, you know what I
Yep.
mean? You're like, hey,
Never been engaged, nothing like that. This is the one, I know it, I feel it. I actually
con-
met her through Perspective Shift. So that's
What?
great.
You met her?
Through perspective, so Kayla is my fiance, and she's our media manager. She does all of our editing of our videos. She handles all of our social media, all of the above. So she does that, for us because she used to own a company that was all editing, things of like that. She's now gone on. She's a hypnotherapist, all of her own stuff and business coach,
Ooh,
health and wellness, all of the
woo.
above.
I
But
love to have her in my show.
yeah. Oh, you need to. She would be a great person for the show.
Oh,
She has tons of followers online, millions of
oh,
likes, hundreds of thousands of followers. She
wow.
she is amazing at what she does.
Nice. And so congrats again. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
When is the wedding? You want to share that?
Yeah, October 10th is the date we're shooting for this year. So we got engaged on 9/18/25, which is a 999, and then we want to get married on 10/10/26, 10/10/10.
Ooh,
That's kind of
wow.
the goal. So we'll be doing it in Sedona. That's it's kind of our
Ooh,
special place. We go up there
that
once
is
a year.
so fun and so good. If I was there with you guys, I will teach you the dance for the first dance.
Yes, that's exactly what we need. We need some of that Gustavo skill.
Yeah, a little bit of nice.
Yeah.
Woo, you're looking good. Wow, that's so cool. It's so exciting. I love
Thank
it, man.
you. I appreciate you
Um,
bringing that up.
yeah, I love it. So let's go back to that thing we talking about the higher mind because you know we are basically we think according to what we believe, right?
Yep.
So our thoughts, like it's like I'm thinking this way because I've been programmed to think this way because I've been programmed to believe this way about something.
Yep.
And so we're like, okay, so I believe in this. I'm thinking this thought because it's all related. It's sort of like a little bubble.
Correct.
It doesn't really get out of the same frequency, right? Like you said, there's no change, there's nothing. It's just the same thing. And so once we change our beliefs, once we change the way we look at things or what we say, right, our vibration changes,
Absolutely.
right? So then the vibration changes, then we're starting attracting the things that we want or start seeing things that we want because now our vibration is different. It's a we're getting closer or we become part of the higher frequencies, right?
Yep. Yep.
So would there be lower frequencies and higher frequencies, or will it be just one frequency?
Great question. So, no, a frequency is going to always be a spectrum. Always. Yep. So where we're on that spectrum will also fluctuate, based on how we're feeling, what we're thinking, all of the above. So there's going to be times when things feel like, oh my gosh, and that's the pendulum swinging, and it's okay. Because the one thing about life is it's never all good and it's never all bad. And to have this much love and light and greatness, the yin and yang, you have to have the dark, the pain, the sorrow. They coexist. This whole experience is that. It's both. And so we've been taught that we can only be happy when the pendulum is swinging in the direction we deem preferential. When in reality, the true essence of life is being fine with any way that pendulum is swinging and being in that state of knowing, calm, confidence, supported, no matter where you're at, where this pendulum is swinging. But your frequency will ultimately fluctuate. It's nobody's ever riding on this 100% cloud nine Christ consciousness all the time. Otherwise, this experience, this third dimensional realm, you would be a light body, you'd transition, you'd be out of here. So anybody who comes to this realm, you're here to learn something, and it's to learn what you are and the creator you are.
Wow. So, but there's always the same. There's always this source is always good.
Yep.
Like source, there's always source, or what would I say? There's always a signal of goodness,
Yep.
right? And I want to talk to you about Abraham Hicks next
Yeah.
because Abraham Hicks, of course, people that don't know, is Esther Hicks channels
An
uh,
entity.
identity, many identities. Am I correct?
Ent-
And
yeah, entity. Yep.
entity. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So there's many frequencies, right?
Oh
That
yeah.
she channels. So and they all call Abraham Hicks. So Abraham Hicks. Anyway, sorry, Abraham.
Yeah.
I'm talking too fast. But but
You're right.
basically, so basically, she always talks about there's no source of evil.
Hmm.
Like there's not that source of, because people say, oh, that's evil and that's good. There's always a source of goodness. We either are on that frequency, or we are separated ourselves from that frequency. Yes. Now we pinch off ourselves from who we really are. So when we're not connected to our inner beings, which is where we're source, then we're disconnected from the good, right? You know
Correct.
what I mean?
So, yes, I would say the spectrum is all love. That's
Yes.
probably how I would say it. And there's different degrees along that spectrum, but you're never without love or without universal consciousness or without, this high vibrational state. That always exists. We fall in and out of that based on our focus and where our attention is going because
Right.
we have free will.
And so you went to very interesting because you went to see Abraham Hicks
I had the pleasure of
live.
seeing Abraham live front
Live.
row. What, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? She was here in Phoenix, Arizona. So my fiance actually got us tickets for Christmas, and I was so excited. I've never seen Abraham live, never seen Esther, and we got in there, and the energy was through the roof. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. Anybody who has not seen Abraham, I would highly advise going to experience this for yourself.
And were you sitting at the front? And how, like, did you get chosen to go into the hot seat?
No, I actually never raised my hand, but Kayla, my fiance, she threw her hand up a few times at the end, but we never got selected.
Right, right.
Yep.
And it's all about energy, I think, right? It's about she picks up energy from the people,
Yeah.
whatever.
The thing is, every person that went up and the question they asked and the responses we received was applicable to everyone sitting in that room.
It's so
And
good.
that's what I love about these types of concepts. Any story somebody can share, all of that, this whole thing, the way this works, it's all applicable to each of us, and we can all find meaning and value within it. So it wasn't like I missed out because I wasn't able to ask a question. I was soaking in, and this abundance of information coming through source, through
Wow.
the field.
So I mean, I went as well here in San Diego, and I was all the way at the back, and of course I felt the energy in the whole room, you
Oh,
know. Even though I didn't get chosen as well to go up, like you said, all the questions and answers were like for everybody, and I came out there feeling so good. And you know, she talks about the emotional scale, right?
yep.
And this emotional scale basically like there's 22 emotions, right? And it goes from if you if you start from the top, number one is love, right? And you go
Oh,
back to 20, you go back to the bottom. 22 is powerlessness.
yep.
So and in between, I mean, we have a range of emotions that we go through.
Yep.
And so she talks about when you are in a very low emotional scale vibration. Let's say,
Depressed,
yeah,
shame, guilt.
yeah, shame, jealousy, hate, or something. The idea is to go up the scale and get to a point where you can maybe get to the point of like being
Yep.
anger. So when you're angry, you're kind of like are tired of feeling low.
Yep.
You just need a change. You just wanna enough of crying, enough of feeling like a victim. I'm done. You know what I mean? I deserve this or whatever. It makes you go into the next level, to
Yep.
the higher emotion, right?
Yep.
And
That's the best way to describe it. You're nailing it.
yeah, and so then we can get into like after anger is discouragement, blame, which is not really a high energy or a frequency, a blame, but we can go up and up and up until we get maybe to uh, contentment, you know, like, and that's the, so, when you get into us and our ego, we get into all these emotions. I mean, a lot of times people, and I would say all of us, are in the lower ones. If we get into the present life with all the problems, the media, and all these problems going on, and all this stuff, a lot of people are in the lower range all the time, and
Yep.
they move around in the lower range.
Yep.
They
Like,
can never get out of the same range. You know what I mean?
yep.
They pick up their kids from school. They're criticizing this person, that person, and they go into the driving on the road, and they like fingering somebody.
Exactly. Really. Yeah. Road
Yeah.
rage. Yep.
So, I mean, how do you, let's say you will get into a situation where something happens and it keeps happening throughout the day. How do you level yourself up to the next emotional point where you like, because you would know, you're aware of who you are, who you are, and you be like, this is not me. Like, this is okay. You know what? Boom, done. Like, how do you do that? Because I admire that in people,
Yeah.
and something that I learned to do. It is something you need to practice
Yep.
like anything else.
Yep.
How do you do that?
Great question. The quickest way to do it is through the breath. Absolutely fastest, hands down, best way physically to experience and get yourself into a calmer state, which is your most natural state, is going to be through the breath. That's what I pull anytime I am, um, feeling that pull of the third dimensional world, or I'm feeling that, angst or that anxiety or any of that. The breath is the fastest way to get yourself back to feeling, at a good baseline. So, I mean, deep breath, slow breath, that's going to calm your nervous system, signal to your body that you are safe. So the breath is always something I go back to because it's something we have with us at any point, and it's the quickest way to get you back into a calm state.
Mm.
See, our nervous systems are so out of whack, and people don't even realize it. They don't understand how tight their shoulders are, how clenched their jaw is, that their heart rate, our breathing patterns have changed over the last 30 to 50 years. Back in the 70s, we used to have, I believe it was like 9 to 11 breaths per minute. Now we have or excuse me, we would have 5 to 7 breaths per minute. And now we're at like 9 to 11 breaths per minute.
Yeah.
And our actual breathing rate, we stay in fight or flight because we are constantly getting dopamine from our online social media. We're getting freaked out by the news and, what's the next disaster to come or pandemic and all of this. And it keeps us stuck in these cycles like you're talking about. Always in survival, always worried about the next issue that's to come. And breath will help to take that away. Breath will help to center you. So breath for me is going to be number one.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I had in my watch. I think I might have talked about this before, where the watch goes beep every hour, and every hour I I get present, into the now. I'm like, I start breathing, and I appreciate moment, what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, appreciate,
That's
and then
beautiful.
and that helps me a lot. It helps me a lot.
Absolutely.
Um, and my friends, I was walking with my friend one time, and she heard the thing. She goes, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's because every hour I breathe." She goes, "What? Every hour you breathe? You're not breathing now?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm breathing, but like," and I explained to her,
Consciously. Yeah.
and then we're walking, and she goes, and I go, my watch goes beep, and she's like, "Oh, I guess we gotta stop and breathe, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah, I love it. That is a
it's
great habit to make, by the
yeah,
way. That
yeah,
is,
it's
I
so
do
good."
something similar. So every morning I focus on the breath. I breathe every morning for 15 minutes, like in and out, deep breaths, with the breath holds and all that. It helps to center me. But I do the same thing at my lunch hour. So I always do that. And then I usually do some breathing just prior to bed, just to get myself into that nice theta state so I can kind of drift off at peace, and
Mm,
picture and visualize what I'm creating. You can revision is a popular tool for the nighttime. You can actually go back and rewrite your day as if that had happened a different way as you're falling asleep, and your mind will wake up and you remember it that way. And so this whole reality out here that we've been taught is like absolute and can't be changed is just false.
Right, because they always say that, they always make it sound that we are out of control, that things happen to us, that just, we have no control over anything really, you know, and knowing that we do have control over everything, really, is
Absolutely.
awesome. It's
Yep.
like it's like you know what I
I
mean?
know. It's mind
It,
blowing. And that's the paradox. It's we have control over everything, and then there's things we have no control over. And it's like these two worlds coming together.
it
And the whole point is it is all
perfect. Perfect what you just said. We have control, but we don't. So that takes me to the next question, because again, I love this because the name of the show is Into the Flow, and everything kind of flows when we're talking. Because the next thing I was going to ask is about that, you
oh
know,
perfect.
because yeah, so we have control, but what do we have control over is the way that we feel, the way that we see things, the way that the way our words are, the words are power, our
Yep.
powerful words, right?
Our perspective, our
But
attention, our energy.
we don't have control of how somebody else will feel, or things that will happen
Correct.
because of somebody else's vibration that might have attracted that situation to them.
Correct.
And these tragedies, as you know, happen
Yep.
to people, and could be something in within like this, within minutes,
Yep.
right? And so, okay, so then how do you, I would say you, because everybody has their own experience, would you handle something like that?
Surrender.
Okay. Hmm.
Total surrender. Um, and people confuse what surrender is. They think surrender is giving up. Well, quite the opposite. You should surrender to any given moment. Whatever's happening in that moment, be there, experience it. We have no control over these circumstances. Sure, we can bring things in, we can manifest all we want, all sorts of things, but there will be moments in life that are spontaneous, that surprise us, and we have to learn to surrender. Surrender is by far the one of the best things I learned, and it gave me so much power personally. Because when you understand what you're doing when you're surrendering, it's not you're not giving up, you're not giving in, you're not allowing things to happen to you. You're surrendering to that moment, saying, is this good or is this bad? Well, whatever you say makes it so. So you surrender to that moment and you take it in, you acknowledge it, but where you put your attention, energy will flow. So no matter what that situation may be there and be present. I'll give you an example. So my co-host Frank Daly, a month ago yesterday, we sat down to do a podcast and do an interview that we do once, second Wednesday of each month. And right when we sat down, we're getting our headphones on, getting the show ready. Frank, my co-host, receives a call from his son's girlfriend's daughter, and she's sobbing. And she says, Frank, you need to get out here. Your son was just involved in a car accident. And I watched Frank just run out the door, right? Just immediately, Mike, take over. I got to go. And he's out the door, right? Frank in no way manifested any of this situation. Frank in no way brought this situation in, with his thought or intent or something like that. And unfortunately, Frank's son died that evening. He passed away at 22 years old. And I was there to witness this moment, and I'll never forget it. Um, that type of situation, when Frank arrived on the scene and was told by police officers that he had just lost his son, in that moment, the only thing Frank could do was surrender. And most people would find this as soul crushing or something you could never get beyond, or, this is going to ruin the rest of my life. I'll never be the same. No, not Frank. And I
Mm.
told Frank this last night. Frank's one of them, not only a mentor to me, but he's somebody I look up to. And I watched him take head on a soul crushing experience and surrender to it.
Mm,
And it was one of the most powerful things I ever could imagine.
mm.
And the clarity and peace that has come to Frank during this tough time is profound. And
Wow.
that is something Frank would never manifest, never want, never create, never co create. But at times, things are going to happen. And the only thing you can do is surrender. And that is where you're going to find your peace. That was where you'll find your solitude. That is where you'll find your power. And he took this and said, what perspective can I take in this given situation? 98% of people would allow that to wreck their lives. I'm going to throw away my job. I'm never, I could care less about anything. No parent should have to bury their child. And I watched Frank take that on with total surrender. And it taught me a lot about life.
Mm. Wow. Powerful, powerful. And thank you for sharing
Yep.
that story because it's we all of it's for all of us. That's just for all of us to really respect and admire and to just honor that so much. I really, really respect and I admire Frank and after this, I'm like have even another level of admiration and
Me too.
respect. Powerful, powerful. Um, so, you know, that takes me to something that Abraham Hicks said one time that it kind of made me think because death is of course is for all of us humans. I always say to people, the ones that stay behind here, we are the ones that will miss the person and have we suffer
Yep.
our
The
and
identity. Yep.
the person that goes in transition, because I never call it death anymore, it's a transition. They are in, like, I would say, heaven. They are energy again, and they're back to who they are, and it's just wonderful. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so it's hard to talk about that because you know you don't want to tell people that, hey, don't suffer or don't feel this way because they're gonna be fine. They're fine, But at the same time, Abraham Hicks said, or Esther said, when her husband passed away, transition,
Gary.
she said, what was his name? I forget his name.
Gary.
Yes, thank you. So she said that she wouldn't she wouldn't feel him because she was really sad that he left. So she would be angry and angry at him for leaving her,
Close.
and and so she wouldn't really feel him at all. But one day she woke up and she said, I want to feel good. I'm tired of feeling sad. Then she goes, I want to feel good. And she started feeling really at peace, and like surrender, like you said. And then she started feeling the energy of him. You know what I mean? Close,
Absolutely.
like she started feeling him everywhere,
Yep.
and more of a frequency, even stronger than when he was alive.
Absolutely.
And that, to me, that was like a powerful thing to share there because
You're
once
so
we, yeah, once we let go and we surrender, you feel the love.
It's kind of like pinching a hose, and saying, "Hey, why aren't I experiencing any water?" And it's all building up. We're so constricted and we're sad. We can't experience anything outside of us. There's this whole world out there, and when we restrict that flow, the energy has nowhere to travel. You're caught in this little box that we're calling reality. And it's not until you surrender that you'll have those type of experiences.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, and again, life, we're constant. Our We have so much going on in our brain, and that's something. Yesterday we had a meeting or a session with Chris
Yep.
Blackwell from Australia. Is a frequency healer,
Yep.
and that's everything with his voice, and everything is on our heads, and through my dancing and my movement, I try to get that everything from the head into the body and
Yeah.
to release the energy by moving, breathing, you know, meditating, you release all that energy that you had stuck in your head into your body, and then you release it by doing rhythm movements and dancing and having fun and shaking it up and somatic moves, which I love. And Chris was doing that with his voice yesterday, again, because we have so much in our brain, so much in our mind.
Yep.
And I was actually talking to another guest that I had last week, which is, or 2 weeks ago, wonderful girl from Vancouver, BC, and she does sound frequency healing as well.
Oh, love it.
And she talked about how the city, when we live in the city, there's so much off noise, cars, horns, the ambulance, the news. It's just a constant thing where our body goes off tilt, like it goes off. You know what I mean? We get a little sick, we feel sick, we don't feel right. So it's good to calibrate again to the right frequencies,
Absolutely.
and saying all that, coming from going through tragedies or going through a lot of bad things happening, this and that, how do we calibrate to that alignment? That's a very strong uh, power to have.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
right? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And see the frequency, the sound, all of that, our body responds to it, It's the reason we like music, It's the reason, church bells it used to be healing, we go into these areas, our body, these cells start vibrating, and that vibration recalibrates. See, again, we think we're solid. We're not solid by any means. If in fact science tells us our bodies we're 99.9999% space,
Yeah.
meaning we can fit the entire human race into a sugar cube. That's how much matter is really there. That's how much real, what we call physical matter exists.
Wow.
There's nothing. We're space, and so that vibration, that's why light therapy, sound therapy, and all of these will be the future of medicine. Like us now, like cutting into things and doing what we're doing, it's almost laughable.
Yeah.
Our future medicine will all be sound and frequency, vibration, and light.
That's so good. And you know, you said something too, like basically calibrating. Like you say, we're frequency. We're it's like a space in this little tiny little cube of
Yep.
sugar. Like that's just when you think about that, you're like, wow, we're
It's mind blowing.
this amazing, powerful beings that we look can't really understand it.
Oh yeah.
And that's why when you go in nature, you walk in nature, you feel the calmness of the nervous system. You feel like you are one, because we all are one. All of us are one. And so when we're in this nature or in the ocean, when I go swimming in the ocean, I'm like, wow, like I am part of the ocean. Like the ocean is me and
You
I'm the
are.
ocean, you
Yep.
know. And when I'm dancing, is that again, that we all are movers. We're supposed to be moving that way. And it feels so perfect, you know. And I think a lot of times we get in situations where we want to try to fix the problem right there. And I'm like, you know what? I need to stop, go dance. I need to laugh.
Yep.
And even though there's nothing to laugh about, I start laughing like a crazy lunatic. I'm,
Yep. I
and
know
I
what you mean. It's
and
true.
then I laugh, and then I'm laughing for real.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Then you start actually laughing.
You know what I
That's
mean? Yeah. So you gotta find ways to detach from what we're not, into who we are.
very well.
Nature, walk to nature. Go run. You know what I mean? Go
You
move.
are nature.
Go sing. Go if you can't even sing. Like what I'm doing now. I'm meditating now, and I'm meditating, and I'm doing vibration with my voice and chanting.
Yep.
When I
I do that
meditate.
too. I do the om. I do all of that.
Yeah, and it's so good. It's like this own sound that you have in your body
Mhm.
that is calibrating to the right frequency to your, you know what I mean?
We're
Isn't it
so
wonderful?
You are so correct. And
Yeah.
absolutely, there's these Om chants. This has been around millennia, thousands
Yeah,
of years. We had monks doing this and that chanting and everything you're talking about. It's a healing, recalibrating experience. Everything you're talking about, absolutely. That is the future.
exactly. And so, in your business, because you deal with sales,
Yep.
right? And so do you have to have this calibration, constant calibration to who you are to be able to be in the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not being affected by people's opinions, by people's personalities, by like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And how you radiate is how you bring others to you.
So they must like love you, man.
Oh,
Like when
I've met
they
amazing people. It's a reason I don't have to worry about business. I attract business. I don't chase business. Business comes to me. I don't chase it. And once you start to implement these processes and understand how this reality actually works, now you found the skeleton key to life, and things aren't as hard and they flow. And the funny part is, it's just relaxing. It's just no. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's so easy that it's hard. And that's why we trip over ourselves, because everything we've been taught in life are these complex systems, and you have to do this in order to achieve that. No, there's nothing you have to do. In fact, you are everything that you want to be. That's why you here. That's why you exist. You are so powerful. And that's what the issue is nobody believes it because we weren't taught that. We were actually taught the opposite of it. Go
I
out
know.
there and try to figure it out and find it. Find this outside of you. One of my favorite quotes is by St. Francis of Assisi. What you are searching for is where you are searching from. And
I
it's so
love that.
powerful. It's so
I
powerful.
love I love that. And but okay, so talking to somebody that's very conditional and they be like, "Well, I don't want to sit around," and nothing happens when you sit around. All
Mhm.
right. So I
I agree.
always
You need
tell,
momentum.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I always tell them is like, we are action. So you take inspire action.
Yes.
Inspire action is where you get the excitement. You
Mhm.
get excited a little bit, you get a little bit of a oh yeah, and you just get up and do it, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
I always do inspire action versus just take action just to take it, like just to you know. But for example, you were talking about how at night, I mean, you need to still do some work to be able to do this because we need to unwind and we need to take away all this crap that we've had for like all these years in our lives. We have to, you know what I mean, relearn. So we got to practice, like you said, at night. You write down the way that you wait your day. Kind of, what was that again? You kind of
I actually revise it. So
you
yesterday I had a real stressful day. Felt great doing the Christopher Blackwell thing, but rather than laying down in bed as I'm drifting away, I didn't think about the day being stressful. In my mind, I mentally rewrote the day, you know, from the perspective of everything working out, everything working into my favor, and allowing my body to feel this relaxed, calm, vibrant state. And that's how I drifted off to sleep. And
that
then
is so awesome.
leaving it up to the universe. And what you're radiating is more love, more abundance, more experience,
That is so
like this. And that's what people don't really realize is they are radiating pain, suffering, sorrow all day and asking, the outside world, why is nothing changing?
wow.
You
And
know?
so you actually had to do this.
Yeah.
It's not like you just gonna wait for things to happen and go, okay, well, this doesn't work.
Yep.
It doesn't work because your energy is in the same, it's recycling, boom, boom, boom. So wait a minute. You had to write down this idea that people go, well, that's kind of crazy. That didn't happen,
Hmm.
right? But you're
Correct.
writing it, you're writing it down as like something that it happened. You know what
Correct.
I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's
Well,
so cool.
that's what's so funny about this experience. You try to tell somebody this, the way we've been socially programmed is that's ridiculous, or that's lunacy, or that's what's the best you're that's delusional. Gustavo, everyone walking around is delusional. They're all walking around going, what, you know, I'm doing the same thing. Like, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Our
Yeah.
entire US, everybody in the United States, by definition, is insane. We get up, we work these jobs, we put in the
Yeah.
time, we get pissed off, and we say, why is nothing changing? And we're telling ourselves the same thing every day. And we're going, why is nothing changing in my life? Why are things so hard? It's because you're insane. And it's because delusion, you know, it's something that I always think it's funny because like delusion is the solution, you know. I'm absolutely delusional. I don't when something out here is not something I enjoy the experience of, I'm like, oh well, put the attention in a different direction. And then people are like, oh, you're putting your head in the sand. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. I'm fully aware that exists, but I understand how reality works. And if I don't focus on that, then it does not come into my reality. That experience drifts away. That's the past, you know, that's over. And it's going to
Mm,
stay that way. It won't continue. Where we're thinking, oh no, we got to figure it out. We got to use that left brain and do all this work. And, you know, this is how we get rid. No, take your
mm.
attention. One of my favorites, Morgan, was it Morgan Freeman? They asked Morgan Freeman how to get rid of racism, and he responded, "Stop talking about it."
Yes.
And I was like,
It's
there
like,
you go. There's an awakened individual.
and and that's just profound. And it's just some people go, "What? We need to fight." Like the whole word, the word fighting, fighting against is actually focusing on the problem and making it bigger.
You are nailing it. And who's the other one? Mother Teresa, I believe it was. It was Mother Teresa. And so somebody came up to her and they asked her if she would march in a march against, I think it was like against war. And she said, "No, I will not take part in a march against war. I will take part in a march for peace." Because whatever direction you are putting the attention on in the focus, that's where energy flows.
Mm,
And when you're fighting something against something, that you're only going to get more of it. So you want to put the attention towards, and when people understand these concepts, it's very clear what these individuals mean, what they're saying, and stuff like
mm,
that. But to a lot of people, it sounds like nonsense, or it sounds crazy, or it sounds delusional. But it's because we aren't taught how this reality works, you know? Because if we did, who's going to work all these jobs and be good little employees, you know? We're going to spur this high, you know, take this medicine, listen to what I say, you know? You're born just fine the way you are, you know, and
wow. Wow.
90% of our medication wouldn't exist if we had a normal diet. And it's just
Mm,
it's for money, it's for consumers, it's to keep, you know, the thing running.
that's that's another conversation for another day because that's a
Exactly.
whole thing that I would love to talk to you about it because honestly, that I've been through some of that the last few years. But anyways, I won't get into that right now. But it's so true. It's like
Next
it's a
episode.
lot of exactly. There's a lot of power. There's a lot of control, so you don't take the power that you are back. You
Correct.
know.
But I
Be-
will say this, and this is so important with this statement.
yeah.
I never give people my attention onto that power because then I'm strengthening that, you know, that I don't that I'm affected by this construct that was provided to me. So I'm
Right.
not fighting these pharmaceutical companies or these elites that people call them and all this stuff because the more attention I give to that, the more I strengthen that and the more I bring that into reality. I'm aware
Mm,
of it. It exists, but it doesn't affect me. Why?
mm,
Because I say it doesn't. And people, for some reason, don't think does not when you're stuck in the 3D, you know, and you're living from a place of scarcity and lack, that sounds crazy. But you, every single day, every moment, you're speaking into existence what you want to experience.
wow. So amazing there, Mike. You've said amazing things. It's been a great conversation. We're almost to the end here,
Yeah,
and that's a great way to kind of almost end it here. But
I love it.
before we really end it, like I have a question that I asked all my guests, and it's a question that let's say somebody invites you to talk in front of a graduating class, And
Okay.
there's all these kids, all these teens that are getting ready, 17, 18, that are ready to go out into the world, and you're the one that's gonna send them out with 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 the right tools to go into the world. And that's the last thing they're gonna hear before they take their hats off and they throw it up in the air. What would you say to them? What would you say to this graduating class?
That's a profound question, Gustavo. Love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, well, if this was a graduating class, I would put some good thought into it because I think that's important. But the first, I like to always shoot from the hip. What the first thing
right.
that comes to mind? So for me, I would tell them this reality is not what it seems. This reality is not what you've been taught. This reality is not outside of you. This reality is all within. And I would challenge each and every one of you to dive deep within and figure out what I'm referring to and what I'm referencing. Everything you are looking for, you will find within.
Mm, wow.
That's what I would share.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's truth. And when people hear truth, they know it. And that's the thing that I love about these conversations that you and I are having, Gustavo. I could have this conversation with any single person out on the street. They may not understand it, but they'll feel it and they'll go, that guy was saying was truth. Even if it's hard to grasp or things like that, they can tell through conviction, through feeling, you know? That's why we know when we sense bullshit. And we just know. It's true.
it's
You
it's
know when you're getting sold, and people know when you're getting sold. And you're talking
yeah.
about truth, you will never feel sold.
Wow. And it's the feeling. You just hit it right on the nose. It's the feeling. And people don't just, that's one thing, that we have this power is that feeling, that like little voice, little feelings that you feel. Oh
Yeah.
man, that felt good. You know what I mean? When you don't really analyze it too much. You just have that sensation of like, wow, that was good. That was right. That was perfect. You know what I mean? Or
Yep.
this feels good. Or it's like just that tiny, and that's what I tell people. Amplify it. Listen to that. That's what you gotta amplify. You know what I mean? Not all this, blah, but just that. You know what I mean? And you hit it right there.
I hope you know how much I enjoy coming on your show, Gustavo. This conversation was amazing, and I'd love to do a part three with you.
It's amazing, Mike. I really appreciate your energy, your power, your presence. You and Frank are doing amazing with the podcast. I'm your humble fan. I met you
Likewise.
guys. I met you guys following you guys on your podcast. Now I'm here together. We're friends.
Exactly.
We are joining forces, and I appreciate you spending time with me in my little humble podcast again, spending your time with me here. This will go out on YouTube and Spotify. I will put your information below so they can find you and stuff.
Please.
And actually, my sister and I are thinking of doing a trip to Sedona soon. So
Oh, you're gonna love it.
I will go say hi. Hey, Mikey, and then I'll
I
give
hope
you a
you
big
know you
hug.
guys, you always have a place to stay.
I appreciate that,
We're
man.
like 2.5 hours from Sedona, so you can, on your way out
Woo!
or in, Frank and I will take you to dinner, lunch, you name
Oh,
it. We'll meet up. We would love to meet you and your sister and
oh,
sit down and
man,
bread.
I was telling, yeah, I know. And you guys, if you ever come to San Diego as well, you
Absolutely.
know it, you know it, you know
Frank
it.
actually goes to San Diego often. I haven't been to California in a while just because I'm busy with work and travel and stuff. But Frank does usually visit California once in a while, and we'll take
Mm,
on that because we would love to
wow.
visit you in San
Oh,
Diego.
I love to take him out and just have him over. But anyways, Mike, again, thanks so much. Appreciate you so much. And everybody, stay into the flow. Stay into the flow. That's how everything works from there. Follow the flow. All right. Good to see everybody. Thank you for listening. And again, Mike, you're the best, man.
Thank you, sir. I will see you soon.
All right. See you, man.
Gustavo.
Okay, bye.
See you soon.